Carabao Cup review, Chelsea beat Derby and Tottenham down West Ham. An overview of an entertaining night in the Carabao Cup on Wednesday as Chelsea and Derby played out a thriller at Stamford Bridge. Frank Lampard and #27 Derby scored 2 own goals as Chelsea earned a hard-fought 3-2 Carabao Cup win at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea and #27 record goalscorer was serenaded throughout a night which must have felt all the more surreal because of the way the fourth-round match unfolded. Lampard must have sensed an opportunity missed as Derby conceded 3 times in the first half and could only reply twice, exiting as Chelsea advanced to the quarter-finals. A penalty shootout win over Manchester United, managed by Lampard and #27 former mentor at Chelsea, Jose Mourinho, set up the tie at the Rams' boss and #27 former stomping ground. Fikayo Tomori, on loan from the Blues, scored an own goal after 5 minutes, but lifelong Chelsea fan Jack Marriott equalized within 4 minutes. A near-identical own goal, another Davide Zappacosta cross, this time sliced into his own net by Richard Keogh, restored Chelsea and #27's advantage after 21 minutes. The lead was short-lived as Mason Mount, another Blues loanee, laid on Martin Waghorn and #27's leveler after 27 minutes. Derby found themselves behind again before half-time, as Cesc Fabregas netted much to the annoyance of the visitors who felt there was a foul in the build-up. Substitute David Nugent struck a post in the 89th minute as Derby came close to a third equaliser, but Chelsea survived and progressed. England boss Gareth Southgate called Mount into his squad during the recent international break and would have been pleased to witness the 19-year-old feature and impress. Chelsea denied granting Derby permission to field Mount and Tomori was a favour to Lampard, who scored 211 goals in 648 appearances over 13 years, saying it was more a test of character for the players. Tomori and #27's test was enhanced when he diverted an innocuous Zappacosta cross into his own net after miskicking an attempted clearance. Thereafter he performed well. Derby levelled swiftly as Tom Huddlestone pounced on Gary Cahill and #27's pass to win the ball off Fabregas and fed Marriott to his left. The forward finished brilliantly. Jack Marriott. What a talent. Pic.twitter.com/N1 The Rams might have led had Waghorn shown the same composure. Instead he tripped over his own feet and shot straight at Willy Caballero. Chelsea and #27's second was a near replica of their first, this time Keogh the unwitting defender. Derby responded once more. This time Mount found himself in space in the left of Chelsea and #27's area, crossing for Waghorn to simply tap in at the back post. Lampard shook his head in apparent disbelief at the cup tie unfolding before him. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, another player Southgate was watching, tumbled over the advertising hoardings after a shoulder-to-shoulder with Scott Malone and that might have subconsciously influenced referee John Mawson not awarding Derby a free kick when Zappacosta and Tom Lawrence had a similar physical challenge on the touchline. Instead of a foul, Zappacosta took a quick throw-in and the late-arriving Fabregas tucked in a few moments later. It was a Lampard-esque goal and Derby and #27's protests were dismissed by Moss. Scott Carson saved a half-chance from Alvaro Morata and then palmed away a header from Cahill. Maurizio Sarri sent on David Luiz, who was caught out by the speeding Marriott. His shot was palmed onto the roof of the net by Caballero. A Mount shot went narrowly wide off Cahill as Derby went close again. Carson saved Morata and #27's header from Willian and #27's corner and Derby had 2 chances to level in quick succession. Keogh showed a striker and #27's instinct to bring down Jadon Bogle and #27's long pass, only for Caballero to stick out a hand. The Blues goalkeeper saved Mount and #27's snapshot soon afterwards and then from Marriott. Nugent beat Caballero, but the ball rebounded off the post as Derby were beaten. Son Heung-min scored his first goals of the season to fire Tottenham into the quarter-finals of the Carabao Cup. The South Korean forward marked his 150th appearance for Spurs with the opening 2 goals in a 3-1 victory at London rivals West Ham. The Hammers came from 2-0 down to knock Tottenham out at the same stage last season, but there was to be no repeat of those Wembley heroics in East London. Lucas Perez did briefly have the deficit, but Fernando Llorente handed a rare run out with Harry Kane rested, wrapped up victory for Spurs. The visitors had, of course, been in action just 48 hours earlier against Manchester City on a dreadful Wembley pitch, so manager Mauricio Pochettino made 10 changes to his lineup. Yet as 3 of those drafted in were Son, Dele Alli and Christian Eriksen, this was always going to be a test for West Ham and #27's defense. It was a test they failed, with Alli setting up both Son and #27's goals, his first for Spurs in 20 appearances, with the help of some glaring errors from the hosts. The opener arrived when Angelo Ogbonna and #27's weak clearance fell to the feet of Llorente. The Spaniard played the ball back and Ogbonna allowed Alli to flick it through to Son, who lashed his shot high into the net from 10 yards out. Spurs goalkeeper Paulo Guenaga was kept busy for the remainder of the first half, repelling efforts from Michail Antonio and Javier Hernandez, twice, from close range. Hammers boss Manuel Pellegrini hauled off the ineffective £42 million record signing Felipe Anderson at half-time, preferring the honest endeavour of Robert Snodgrass instead. But, 8 minutes into the second half, another defensive mistake allowed Son to double his tally and Tottenham and #27's lead. Alli and #27's attempted pass was straight at Arthur Masuaku, but the full-back somehow allowed it to bounce through to Son, who charged clear before rounding Adrian and firing home. Pellegrini threw on Perez and Marko Arnautovic to give the hosts more impetus, and Guenaga was at full stretch to keep out Ogbonna and #27's shot before Wanfoyth made a marvelous last-ditch block to deny Arnautovic. Former Arsenal striker Perez gave the hosts hope with a far post header from a corner, but just 4 minutes later Llorente ensured Spurs avoided being on the wrong end of another Hammers comeback when he hooked in their third. Arsenal made hard work of dispatching Blackpool in the Carabao Cup, but the Gunners progressed as both sides finished with 10 men at the Emirates Stadium. The hosts appeared to be coasting after Stefan Lichtsteiner and #27's first goal for the club was added to by Emile Smith-Rowe. But Blackpool rallied and, after Matteo Guendouzi had been sent off for 2 fouls on Jordan Thompson, Paul Dio and #27's Connor reduced the arrears before also being dismissed as Arsenal secured a narrow 2-1 victory. Unai Emery made 9 changes, but his side still featured the likes of Petr Cech, Henrik Mkhitaryan and Aaron Ramsey, the latter starting despite his future having reportedly been resolved during a meeting with the club. The Wales midfielder said in Lisbon last week that he had received no explanation as to why a contract offer had been withdrawn, but he now looks set to walk away for nothing when his current deal expires in the summer. Carl Jenkinson also came in for Arsenal, making his first appearance for the club in 701 days as he was joined in defence by debutant Julio Plexuelo. As expected, the hosts had plenty of possession at the start of the game but did not test their former goalkeeper Mark Howard in the opening half an hour. That changed, however, when Lichtsteiner slid in to connect with Guendouzi and #27's fine, lofted pass into the box and put the Gunners ahead with their first shot on target. Shkodran Mustafi then came close to adding a second, but his close-range header was deflected behind before Guendouzi sent a low drive wide of the post. The second goal came from a player some 16 years younger than Lichtsteiner, Smith-Rowe, turning home after Jenkinson and #27's cross had been knocked into his path by Howard. Blackpool almost halved the deficit when Owen #27's Connor rose to meet a corner, heading against the frame of the goal with Cech nowhere to be seen as he burst from his line. Guendouzi, who had fouled Thompson in the first half to earn himself a booking, was given his marching orders after 56 minutes for pulling back the same player. Blackpool needed just 10 minutes after the red card to bring themselves back into the game. **27 Connor again rising for a header, this time unmarked, as the Leeds loanee grabbed his second goal for the club. Sek had appeared uncomfortable with Emery and **27's desire for his side to play out from the back, being caught out on numerous occasions during the early weeks of the season. He returned here but was again left red-faced as he was challenged in the box by Blackpool captain Jay Spearing as Nathan Delfunezo turned into an empty net only to see the goal chalked out for offside. Emery was suitably worried to introduce club record signing Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang from the bench for the last 15 minutes. Top goalscorer for Arsenal so far this season, Aubameyang had little chance to add to his tally but was hacked down by **27 Connor as the defender was sent off with 6 minutes remaining. Back to winning ways into the Carabao Cup last 8 at Liechtensteiner stand number 39's first Arsenal goal at Emile Smith-Rowe and number 39's first at Emirates Stadium 13 unbeaten. Well done, lads. Picked out twitter.com/Zujifkix. Sir Lewis swing blasted Middlesbrough into the Carabao Cup quarter-finals as his first senior goal for the club dumped Premier League Crystal Palace out of the competition. The midfielder, who was playing Northern League football for Shildon and working in a factory 20 months ago, thumped home a 25-yard piledriver in first-half stoppage time to clinch a 1-0 victory for Sky Bet Championship Borough in front of a crowd of 11,850 at the Riverside Stadium. It was little more than the home side deserved on a night when both Tony Pulis and Roy Hodgson made 8 changes as the Teessiders found the greater cohesion despite having on loan Southampton midfielder Sam McQueen carried off on a stretcher before the break. Borough started brightly with full-back George Friend seeing an early shot deflected into keeper Vicente Guaita and **27's arms and Grant Ledbetter fire over from distance. With Martin Braithwaite and McQueen seeing plenty of the ball out wide, Palace found themselves having to defend deep, but they gradually eased their way into the game, although with full-back Papes to air their most promising outlet, were unable to trouble 39-year-old keeper Dimi Konstantopoulos. Borough were dealt a blow with 24 minutes gone when McQueen went down after preventing Jeffrey Schlepp from reaching Andros Townsend and **27's cross and immediately signaled to the bench that he was in trouble. The home side had a chance to break the deadlock 13 minutes before the break when wing played Marcus Tavernier into space, but although he cut inside Martin Kelly nicely, the defender recovered to make an important block. They went significantly closer 5 minutes later when Jordan Hudgell met Friend and **27's left wing cross on the half volley, but saw his effort graze the crossbar. Braithwaite flashed a header from Paddy McNair and **27's cross across the face of goal and Hudgell blazed well wide as the Teessiders finished the half strongly. And they got their reward 3 minutes into added time when Wing drilled an unstoppable shot into Guaita and **27's top corner. Max Meyer sliced an early attempt well wide as the Eagles looked for a response after the break, but the game developed into something of an arm wrestle with defenses largely on top. However, as Palace striker Alexander Sorloth started to make his presence felt, Borough found themselves retreating.